Avinash, thank you for being here. We're excited, very excited to have you here. Great speech, great presentation. Enrique Quevedo had told me before about your presentations, and so we had a lot of expectations, and you completely surpassed them. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Avinash, you talk a lot about marketing, how marketing efforts must be accountable.
Correct.
Now, in how are companies making the structural changes that they need to really make their marketing teams and their advertising teams really accountable for their marketing efforts?
So I think that there are three important components, and the first component, as I touched at the end of my talk, is this idea of trying to imagine what is possible, and that means that you have to rethink the rules of the game for TV and radio and magazines, which are all fabulous channels and work very well, but the web is not TV or radio or magazines. It's a completely different animal. It allows us to interact with our consumers in completely and radically different ways. So the first thing I would say is that just unlock your mind so that you can imagine what is possible, and that may come from case studies and videos and books and things like that. Do that. The second most important thing I think the companies can do is I have this rule, I call it the 10-90 rule. And the 10-90 rule says that if you have $100 to invest in making good decisions, invest $10 in tools and invest $90 in people. Because it turns out the most precious asset on the internet is not the tools that you can have, but the people that you can find who have the capacity to truly analyze the data, understand what is actually possible in terms of measurement and do it for you. And the very last one I would say is to understand that in order to be successful, you will have to use more than one tool. I think one mistake people make constantly is they'll just measure the clicks or just use Google Analytics or just use Omniture. And the reality is you have to use multiple data sources. And I think it does require some mental mind shift. But those are the three things that I would say are necessary for a company to move from being to being awesome.
That's now you're mentioning a few measurement tools,
yes.
and in your presentation you mentioned one measurement concept from CRM, like recency and loyalty, actually. Yes. And I really like that because in my mind, relationship marketing professionals should really be involved in digital marketing. Now, where did they lose their way and how can they get back on track?
They lost their ways in measuring page views. I think measuring clicks and impression, all stupid metrics. None of them are valuable in any way. And I think that's where we lost the ways. One of the challenges with the web and our tools is that we have more data than God wants us to have. And so it takes sort of a clever mind in order to say, well, this is garbage and this is good. And that's why I sort of mentioned the 10-90 rule, right? So I love loyalty and recency as a metric. In the example, I was using it in a newspaper context. Are you building loyal